Hey, hello. Ha How are you doing? Welcome along. It's Friday night, it's 7 p.m. and it's the launch party for Home Working, my new album. I'm really excited about this. Excited but kind of nervous as well. The fact that I'm broadcasting out to the world and sharing these songs that hardly anyone has heard so far. So let me tell you a little bit about my plan for the evening. I'm going to be playing some of the new recordings from the album. So literally the tracks that are going to be on the album that no one apart from me and the mastering engineer has heard so far. I've also got a conversation with two of my friends, Minnie Birch, singer-songwriter, and Lawrence Saunders, an actor, friend of mine. I had long chats with them, and I've edited them each into a couple of videos that I'm going to play at various points of the evening, talking about things of interest to me and also in relation to this album as well. But I think I'll start the way I traditionally start a gig, which is to play this song. It's not a new song. It's one of my older songs. It's called Very Own Way. There are people watching and there are people commenting, which is really exciting. I'm going to try and keep up with everybody on the chat as we go. Right, here we go. So this is Very Own Way. Let me know in the comments if everything sounds okay, because it's really hard to judge in terms of the volume, the sort of musical quality, you know. Can't do much about that at the moment. This is a free message, and I hope you hear it. He doesn't need anything special, he just needs you near him. And I'm hoping you'll be there at the end of his day, in a home that you've made in your very own way. Just a courtesy call to say my friend needs you. He cannot find the words anytime he sees you, and is hoping you'll be there at the end of his day, in a home that you've made in your very own way. But it's not so simple now, and who said it should be? Life is a battle now, and the fighting sets you free. Now I'm just passing through, and if you would see me, I wouldn't talk in third person, finally let you hear me. And I'm hoping you'll be there at the end of my day, in a home that we've made in our very own way. And I'm hoping you'll be there at the end of my day, in a home that we've made in our very own way. Thank you very much. Right, okay, there's people watching and there's people commenting, so let me just have a quick look through some of these. Hi Marcus, hi Richard, hi Pierre, hi Moths and Giraffes, hi Lights and Lines, hi Minnie, hi Shooting Lodge Productions, hi Adam, Hi, Richard Blackman, liking the countdown at the start. Yes, we're big fans of that, aren't we? Makes me laugh just to play it. Sveta, hi Sveta, great to see you. How are you? And so the voice is distorting on the louder notes. Yeah, the little thing here is telling me that it was peaking a little bit, but it's in the green now. So as we go, it should be all right. Thank you for all that, everybody. I think you need to have a YouTube account or a Google account to comment on the actual YouTube link. But if you want to leave me a message on my any of my social medias, Facebook or Twitter, I'll see that. Or if you've got a number, you can text me, and hopefully I'll see the messages. Sveta just says that Luca is here as well. Hi Luca, how you doing? I hope you're practicing hard. These are people I teach guitar lessons to. So if you missed the beginning, I'm launching my brand new album. The album's called Homeworking, and what I'm planning to do in this session is to play you the actual recordings of a load of the songs from the album, talk about the songs. I've made a couple of special little videos as well, and also speak to my friends Minnie Birch and Lawrence Saunders, who are both very creative people that are interesting to talk to. So you may have already seen that the title track of the album, Homeworking, has gone out. I made a YouTube video for it. I'm going to share that with you now in case you haven't seen it. And the video features lots of footage of us renovating our house. So part of the story of this album is that we bought a house last year which was in need of some attention, and basically we did a complete renovation of the house, including this room that I'm in now, which is like the creative room sometimes, or recording studio at other times. And a lot of the album has been written and recorded in this very room. So have a look at this. This is for the song Homeworking, which is the title track of the album. It's a little bit clinky just while I kind of get the right video. Here we go. And here we go. Working on us, working on me, working on us, working on me. We can't know what will happen next, but right here and now I am content. Who can say where we're going? There's a beauty here in not knowing. Working on us, working on me, working on us, working on me. All I am, all that I am for, is to try and love you a little more. I fear I fail or not live up to the life I build along with you. Working on us, working on me, working on us, working on me, working on us, working on me. So there we go, that's the title track. That's called Homeworking, and that video is a little bit of a kind of behind the scenes really of well, certainly my last year. This album sort of occupied 2 years of my life, really, going back to the sort of start of 2020, all through the excitement of 2020, and then over the last couple of years. And I want to tell you more about that as sort of we go through the evening. But I'm really excited to play something that no one's ever heard before. Literally, a couple of people have heard a demo of this song, but the actual finished mastered recording, only me and the mastering engineer have heard. So can I share that with you now? I haven't really got like a very exciting video for it. So what I'm going to do is just leave me on reacting to your reactions to the song. I hope this goes all right. Please leave me comments as we go and tell me what you think of the tune. This one is called Somewhere in the Dark, and this is actually going to start the whole album. This is the first song on the album. I might tell you a bit more about it afterwards. Here's the song itself, though. I'll just cue it up. I thought I'd left you somewhere in the dark, somewhere in the dark. Though it's been so many years, you came to me last night, talking like nothing's changed. You know I don't think it's right. I know it's not right. Love leaves its mark. Love leaves its mark. I thought I left you somewhere in the dark. Somewhere in the dark. I'm ashamed of who I've been, or how we once tried. You can't convince or change my mind. Memory will be my guide. Memory is my guide. Love leaves its mark. Love leaves its mark. I thought I left you somewhere in the dark. Somewhere in the dark. Love leaves its mark. Love leaves its mark. I thought I left you somewhere in the dark. Somewhere in the dark. Love leaves its mark. Love leaves its mark. I thought I left you somewhere in the dark. Somewhere in the dark. Somewhere, somewhere, somewhere in the dark. Okay. Oh, people are saying lovely things about that, which is awesome. Do you know, it's so nerve-wracking. No one's heard that. Like, I think it's good, but who knows, really? So to go through some of those comments that people were saying, Minnie's asked, like, the $1,000,000 question. I don't know. I'd love to. I'd really love to. Like, I started off playing guitar, like, I was trying to be like Eric Clapton and Cream, basically. It's funny enough, actually, I've been having a bit of a nostalgia binge this morning, because I was thinking about editing up another video, which I haven't ended up doing, of some like old clips of me playing, but it was too depressing. But in a lot of these, I was playing guitar with people who might be watching, actually, my friends Matty Pinfield and Mick Jeans, and we were playing, and when I was playing electric guitar and, you know, doing the thing, and that was where I started. That was what I wanted to do, and then it later on became the acoustic singer-songwriter thing, which I love, and it's, you know, I hopefully have developed a thing in that direction. But yeah, what got me started on music was definitely those full band productions. So I would love to do it, but you know, it's all the problem, isn't it? It's so hard to pay for me doing it on my own, let alone getting some other people in. And I literally don't know how bands do it. You know, unless everybody is invested in the songwriting and it's everybody's project. But when it's like when it's so and so and the Watsits, I find it hard to imagine how so and so and the Watsits is a really good band name, actually. But I don't really know how that works. Anyway, people wanted me to talk about the guitar solo. So the history of this album. We sold our flat. We were living in a flat in Birmingham. I think most of you all know this story, but anyway. And we were going to move to Wolverhampton, and we'd found a house we wanted to buy, but it fell through. But we also had someone to buy our flat. So long story short, we didn't want to miss out on buying this flat, on selling the flats. We sold it and we moved in with my in-laws. It was just going to be for a couple of months. And of course, the obvious thing happened. Every house we went after didn't work out for various reasons, and we were there for 18 months. And during the course of that, a few things happened, but one of the things that happened is I was able to start building my home studio. So the guitar sound on that was recorded in the spare bedroom of my in-laws' house on my Mac that I'm talking to you through at the moment. And it's actually an acoustic guitar plugged in, I think, because at the point... Oh, no, is it? I think it's an acoustic guitar with the microphone, actually. So it's actually an acoustic sound because I hadn't got a lead or something at the particular point I was doing it. And yeah, and it's doubled. Almost, but not quite perfect. So there's a guitar on this side and a guitar on that side. I think they're both a weird acoustic sound, and they're playing almost the same thing as each other, but not quite. And I think that made quite an interesting sound. That's what I thought, anyway. Bass sounds great. Oh, cool. I'm glad that someone's noticed the bass playing because, yeah, I like playing the bass. And then one of that was going well, and then I kicked myself out of the studio. Sorry, hopefully I'm back now. I do hope so. Pierre said this is liking the vocal harmonies and mellotron. On this album, I really have enjoyed doing harmonies and backing vocals. I've always enjoyed doing that, but I've kind of given myself permission to do quite a lot of it, as hopefully you'll hear on the songs. And the mellotron, yeah, I've really enjoyed playing some more keyboard parts over the course of the album. Hopefully you'll spot that as well. So yeah, people are saying really nice things about this. Thank you. Oh, this is interesting. Adam Jenkins says, really interesting to have the vocal not be so dominant. I love it, almost Beatlesque, which is quite lazy to say, but also quite apt, I think. We might talk about the Beatlesque thing as well. Oh, hi, Luke. Great to see you. There we go. Luke was at the main cap session yesterday. How is my back today? My back is all right at the moment, thank you. Talking of backs, your back. Cool. Okay, so you ready for something else? I mentioned then, yeah, the rough story of the album. So we moved in with my in-laws. In fact, even before that, right, we got married in January 2020. And in January, February, March 2020, I was on tour with my friend Minnie Birch. We were doing a joint headline tour. And we were having a great time. Here's a little clip of me and Minnie talking about that and what happened. So where are we? Bear with me. This one. Part of the reason I've got you on, apart from I just love chatting to you, is that although you're not on the album, I feel as if our shows that we were doing together and then just like our friendship and stuff through the lockdown and all the rest of it had a part to play in the album. So the album's called Homeworking. It's mostly stuff that I've made in various different homes and bedrooms over the last couple of years, starting with things right back with the flat that I lived in Birmingham, which you came to once actually before our very last show. So to explain to people, we were doing a joint headline tour in like January, February, March of 2020. And I don't know about you, but for me, they were like, the shows we got to do were all awesome. Like we had full houses, great receptive audiences. The people putting the gigs on were all like people I think at least one of us had gigged with before, and we knew they were great. So they're great and the shows are really good. And they had that final one in Birmingham at the Tower of Song, which is a venue I'm very keen on. And I think it was like the 7th of March 2020 or something along those lines. And I can remember people coming into that room and like, oh, should we shake hands or not? Oh, ha, 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 ha. It was that level of COVIDness. And then it seems like within days, maybe a week or so, we had this whole new problem, which I've never encountered before. The government said venues and pubs and stuff are open, but we'd really rather people didn't go to them, which for people running events was a bit of a brain twister, really, because I'm thinking, well, usually the show must go on. Whatever, like if England's playing on the screen in the pub, you still play. If you've broken your leg, you still play. If it's snowing and you know no one's going to come, you still play. But with this one, I remember having conversations. It's like, well, we can do the event. We're happy to do it, but should we be asking people to come out? Is that irresponsible? And then it was kind of this weird relief is a horrible word, really. But then once it was venues and everything had closed, at least we all knew where we stood. I found that kind of a very strange period. But what are your sort of reflections on the tour itself, and then having to stop, and then having, or that middle bit where I think we have to stop, do we? I'm not sure really. Oh yes, we do.
Yeah, I really hope that the stars align, that we can do something again, because as you said, we don't actually live near each other. So rather than kind of almost preparing to do anything together, we were doing like a double headline tour. But then just naturally through like hanging out in the soundcheck time and the times between gigs, we were starting to like do stuff on each other's sets. And I just think we were going to progress through that tour to really have like the grand finale was going to be like a mini Robert mini like collaboration, and I was really looking forward to that developing. And what's really lovely for us is we have some incredible people who are coming out already in the couple of shows we did to more than one show, and it was really nice to think actually they're going to get some bang for their buck here, because it's actually is going to be a different show. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do double headliners, and I just think that's such a lovely way forward to kind of give people something that they're just not going to get on either person's record, because normally the double headliners will collaborate together, and particularly if you're a solo artist, it's so nice to have that friendly same face that you can travel with or go get food with. And yeah, I really was enjoying that tour, and people like having us along, and we had such lovely venues lined up. But I entirely agree with you that it did feel like a relief to have the decision taken from us, because it's not only that you could be disappointing people who would want to come if you cancel it, but there's also the fact that like the promoters and the sound engineers of the night, that's actually their living. So just deciding you don't want to go is putting them out of a night's work.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, looking at the news from around the world, we're like, that's actually a lot more serious if we invite somebody and then a group of people get unwell. So it sounds, really like just take the decision out of my hands. It was quite nice to kind of have that decision, but what a strange time.
So there you go. That was me and Minnie talking about the events of like around our tour and stuff. And yeah, we really hope that we can do some more of that stuff at some point, because it was a lot of fun, and write some songs together and stuff. So yeah, after the tour had to pause, well, you all know what was happening in 2020. Me and Minnie did some live stream gigs, which were like awesome, really, because we hadn't done it before. I'd tried it before, but it hadn't really worked out. But all of a sudden, you had to do it, and people would watch and even send over like the money of a ticket or a few drinks or whatever, and it was great. It was a really enlightening thing, that not being able to do the performing live, but still being able to do it in some way or another. Later on in that year, so I say, we moved in with my in-laws. I'd also applied for a Arts Council grant, a thing called Developing Your Creative Practice, and I said that I wanted to take some time to really work on my songwriting and also my ability to record my own stuff. I was thinking of demos really at the time. And a really weird thing happened at some point in December, where on the very same day I had an email to say I'd been successful in this grant application, which I wasn't expecting. And also I tested positive for COVID. So that was a weird for me, like that whole day summed up the year really, like an amazing high and then a fantastic low all at the same time. And as we all know now, you look at that result and it immediately makes you feel worse. But anyway, so I got this DYCP thing. So while I was on my COVID unwell bed, I was researching what sort of Mac and gear and stuff I was going to buy. And then a little while into January, I had this equipment, but the plan was to be in my own new house by this point, but I wasn't. I was in the spare bedroom at my in-laws' home. So that's where some of the material from this album started life, weirdly enough. It's quite weird. Part of what I said I would do for the project was to try and write and complete a song every week, which of course I didn't do, but I did write a lot of songs, and I learned something, which I knew already. I reminded myself of something, which is if I sit for an hour and just try and write or be creative, something will happen. Whether it's a little bit of lyric or a guitar part or a bit of tune or something, or just an idea, something will appear. Sometimes it might be a whole song, but often it's just a little bit. And it might not be something I end up keeping or end up using, but it might lead somewhere else. And the sort of point of that is it's worth sitting down to do the work. Ideally every day, spend a couple of hours every day where you're allowing that to happen. You're just opening yourself up to that stuff without any other distractions. And that was an important lesson I learned. I also got to do some collaborations with some really cool people as well, which I might tell you about later. Um, Another thing that had happened for me at the end of 2019, before 2020, because as well as music, I do acting stuff as well. And I got an acting agent right at the end of 2019. So you can imagine how I felt. At the end of 2019, I got an acting agent. January 2020, I got a wife. Everything was absolutely hunky dory. I was going to be making music. I was going on this great tour with Minnie, and I was going to get all these acting jobs. And of course, as well as music, the acting world kind of just stopped for a while. And it wasn't until really 2021 that I was starting to get auditions and castings for stuff, and then really kicking off more this year. And I'm now in this position as an actor. It's interesting again what COVID has done, because most of the time, what you get asked for now, your agent submits you for a job, and then a certain number of people will get asked probably to do a self tape, which is recording yourself as if it was an audition, but you don't have to go anywhere, and they don't have to have loads of people come into the room. This was happening before COVID, but of course COVID made it more normal. And you record this little bit and they send it off, and then a certain number of people they might want to see again, whether it's in person or it's another self tape or a Zoom audition or something. I've had experience of all of those over the last few months, and the majority of the time, for me anyway, that's it. One or two auditions, and then you don't hear anymore until you see the casting breakdown on Twitter. And this is part of an actor's life. And it's been interesting doing that, because it sort of is also part of a musician's life. You put things forward, and oftentimes it doesn't get you anywhere. And I was talking to my friend Lawrence Saunders, who's an actor, about this stuff. And I'd like to share with you what he was saying about auditioning and how he approaches it. So let me just find that video. I know this bit's not very smooth, but here we go.
How I approach auditions is I see them as an opportunity to act. I mean, I know plenty of people. What's his face? Bryan Cranston went viral with a video where he says that.
Yeah.
I think that's a really healthy way to approach it. I think another thing that I try to think about is that actually in a numbers game, they'll be seeing lots of people for it. The decision generally is based on, there's a kind of base level, I guess, that everyone they're seeing has a decent level of ability, acting ability. Yeah. Some people, sometimes you can feel that it's a judgment on your acting, and I think actually the reality of it is often, depending on what it's for. If it's a commercial and the brand color is a blue, then if you've got really clear blue eyes, that might, no matter how good an actor you are, if you haven't, then you may not get that casting. Or it could be that if you're auditioning for someone who's part of a family, do they fit? Do they look like, is their energy what the director conceives of as being the energy of the character? There's loads of things that there is no way you can second guess, and you can put all the preparation, and I think you should put all the preparation into what you're doing. But that notwithstanding, there are so many other variables that will affect, even to
all of them. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it's healthy to think of that not as you're auditioning, but afterwards. Main thing I think is going and it's opportunities to build a relationship, I think, with the casting director or the theatre company or whoever it is, or the director that's seen, because then they may ask you back, for something else, or they may cast you for that. It's about just doing a good job and they may not ask you back because something may not come up that suits, my type, for another couple of years or whatever. But if you go in with that, and it's about, just building a relationship and doing a good job in the room there and then, because I think that a truism is that they really do want you to succeed. I mean, if you can answer their problem, which is casting that role, then that's fantastic, and they want everybody to be able to do that. I think that there's not even a handful that I can think of at audition experiences where people have, it's been not good, in 25 years or whatever, and so I think that's a definite truism that they want you to be the answer. But you can't control all the variables that would make you the answer, I think. So I mean, I think that's a way to look at it, I guess. And as soon as you do it, try to, I mean, it is hard, you know, there's things you audition for that you think, I really want to get that, and you know, if you don't, that's obviously a disappointment, but you just got to get back on the horse.
Get back on the audition horse.
On the audition horse.
Pantomime horse.
But yes, it very much is.
Cool. That was Lawrence there, and hopefully you've spotted at the bottom. I'm putting the links for Minnie and Lawrence as we go through. So yeah, this thing about being in a creative or a performing thing, you know, it's so interesting. I'm getting so much better at this, doing as Lawrence was talking about there, and just worrying about what you can control and not worrying about the other things. But of course, we still have our moments, don't we? And that was the start of this next song. So I'm going to play you another tune that I don't think anyone's heard, or they certainly haven't heard the finished thing yet. This one is called So Many Songs. And the opening sort of lyric idea of this is that thing, actually. You know, there's so many songs, there's so many actors, there's so many writers, there's so much the rest of it. What is the point of even thinking that you can, you know, contribute anything to that whole pool of stuff? As sometimes happens in songs, that's the initial idea of it. I don't think the rest of the lyric is really about that. But here it is. I'd love to know what you think. Leave me comments, send me a message. I'm nervous again, but here it comes. This is So Many Songs. Hopefully. Who even cares or pays attention when I begin? I'm presenting a soul divided now, and I'm seeking a whole united somehow. He's grown to her, 'cause he has nothing else to say. So insecure, pushes attention so far away. He's hiding a soul divided now, and he's seeking a whole united somehow. But who am I to judge? Everyone in this party is trying their best to get through. Hero of her own movie. You are in pain. How it affects her is all she sees. She's discovering a soul divided now, and she's seeking a whole united somehow. But who am I to judge? Everyone at this party is trying their best to get through. So many songs. Who even cares? He's grown to her, so Okay, so that's so many songs. There we go. Thank you very much. A couple of people have said interesting things. Love that riff. Thank you. It's good to know that people are enjoying the riffs. Example of that songwriting thing I was on about, really. Half an hour with a guitar and a riff like that might pop out, and then the hard bit is what you're going to do with it, make the rest of the song. Hi Josh, good to see you, Josh. Glad that you're here. We have a question. Adam says, wonderfully atmospheric. Have you found the experience recording the new album lends itself to a little more experimentation? I think probably yes. I've had amazing experiences recording in the past. A lot of my stuff has been done with my friend Matty Pinfield in his home studios. I've been doing this for so long now that I've actually worked with him in I think 3 or 4 different houses that he's lived in, and it's very much a similar setup, really. And an awful lot of recording studios will charge you by the day. So ideally, you've got your shit together, you spend the day recording, you've booked 3 or 4 days, whatever project is, you're done. Matty does this great thing with me, perhaps I shouldn't say, perhaps it's a secret, where he charges me by track, basically. So we've done plenty of experimentation over time and are also able to bounce ideas off each other. This project, of course, I've got endless time, because it's finished when I say it's finished, basically, which, as you can imagine, is both a blessing and a curse, really, because it is kind of hard to say, oh no, that's finished now. But yeah, in answer to your question, I think hopefully I am experimenting a bit more, really. What I've always found with being in the recording studio is you write a song, you go to record it, and then on those playbacks, when you're listening to what you've done, there'll always be some idea that appears, like a little piano bit or a harmony or something, which just wouldn't come to you in the moment that you're sat writing with a guitar. And I think that's the real beauty of recording, using the studio as an instrument, if you will. And I really like those moments. So yeah, thank you very much. What else have we got? Ooh, what is that? Like a tap piano. I love that sound. Yeah, this is a lot of what I do, is just experimenting with different sounds on Logic and editing them and playing around with them. There's a couple of interesting piano sounds that I've hopefully come across, all sort of semi-made from what was already there on Logic, which is what I use. This is Richard, I think. Hi, Rich. Great to see you. I thought you weren't able to make it, so I'm glad that you can join us. I'm glad that you enjoyed that one. Oh, Lawrence, this is cool. Dig the drama in the arrangements. Yes. It's interesting, right? Some of the tunes are like the first one I played you, Somewhere in the Dark, which is hopefully like this quite big, full sound with lots of stuff in. But then I've kind of really got into playing very sparse things, which is just like a guitar, a couple of voices, and then maybe just like a piano doing little melodic bits or whatever. I'm not a very good piano player, so often the bits I do on a piano have to be very simple, but I think that kind of works sometimes. This is awesome, full of drama. Love the riff, the harmonies, the keys, and the shaker. Right, percussion. I haven't got drums here, and I don't really play drums. I can play drums a bit. So percussion is like, some of it are samples that I've found, and some of it is bits that I've done. And I must say, actually, I'll shout out to both Matty, who's a wonderful percussionist, and also Lucas Drinkwater. I spent some time in his studio last year. Just watching the way they handle percussion and arrange it has taught me a few lessons as well, which has been cool. People like this. This is really nice. Yes, ding, 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 ding. Right. Part of what I'm doing at the moment is a pre-order for the album. I know that a lot of you watching have already pre-ordered it, but pre-ordering it allows me to basically finish. I'm now on to the bit I don't like very much. All the music's done. I've got to get the physical copies made, which is getting artwork together and all that sort of stuff. I don't find it very sexy. I'm not that good at it, but I need to do it, obviously. So yeah, pre-orders help me both, I keep saying financially and emotionally, because it helps money-wise, but it also allows me to feel like an artist with a commission, which is quite a big deal. The joke here is I played Peter's house concert a couple of weeks ago, and he dings a bell every time you mention your album or do a plug, so he's going to be dinging it a lot tonight. Sveta says, is there any of the vocal and background songs are only yours double recorded? It's all me. Yeah, multi-tracked. Apart from Listen In, I think Matty sings on Listen In, but otherwise it's all me. Do you set yourself deadlines to get the basic song recorded? Interesting, isn't it, when you're working from home, what you do with that? Because you kind of need a time that you want to be finished by, because otherwise, as I say, you could go on forever just, improving it. So yeah, I kind of do. I think I want to get this song finished by that, and certainly with this, I finally got to the point where I had enough songs done, and I said to myself, I'm going to release the album on date, so everything's got to be done then. And Stephen said this. John chats very much. Great to hear many different sounds coming into the chat. Great, thanks guys. God, it's such a relief that you're enjoying them. I'm going to show you another conversation with Lawrence, actually. Sort of what we're talking about. The difference between being on stage and being in a recording studio, or being on stage versus filming, you'll see what I mean when you watch the video. Here's Lawrence again. Working on the first independent film that I was doing a couple of years ago, I compared these two things.
Award-winning, wasn't it? Was it multi-award-winning?
Well, it's still not released. A few people who've seen it have given it an award, yeah. Still waiting for the actual release. But what I found with doing that was it's very similar to being in the recording studio, in that it's difficult, it's hard work, particularly with filming. It can be cold, dark.
Yeah.
Technology breaks down. You're waiting for that, but people get them, and you're sort of on this edge because you know you've got to give this performance that's going to last forever. You've got to do this vocal take or this dialogue that's going to be there forever, and that's how you're going to get used for it. So it's stressful on that side, but then once it's done, and it's a thing that goes off and maybe has its own life. Whereas on stage, you can hone that stage presentation with every performance, make it better and better and better. Every night on stage, it gets better, but it feels like you got to start again each time. I find this with the improv shows that we do as well. I was like, you can have this amazing night. It's like, yeah, that was fantastic, but that counts for nothing tomorrow night because we're going to have to start again.
Yeah.
And I think both of those things have their own advantages and disadvantages. And in a roundabout way, what I'm trying to ask is, have you got a preference? Or being stage?
I love them both, and it's always the next thing that I'm doing that I'm excited by.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, I think.
Yeah, I try to be like that, Yeah, definitely. And I think that's that's how I try to approach it. And I do genuinely like them both. I think there's something about, like, when we're doing the improvisation, there's something about being there and the audience are there with you, and particularly if, like, with improv walls, how we've seemed to have fallen into doing it is we're I don't know if this is Brechtian, is it? I don't know, but we're kind of we're cognizant of the fact that we're there in the room with the audience, and I think that's a really good thing.
Because you don't always do that, obviously. You've got the fourth wall, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think that's really good. I also think with fourth wall theatre, the fact that the audience are in the space with you, there is something about that is electric, really, and they're there for a shared moment. As you say, you've got to start again. It's like going to a football match. Mm-hmm. I think you're never going to see have that experience again, really, because and certainly with a live performance, you're seeing it created hopefully there and then. It feels spontaneous, you feel that you're part of it. That's really great. And then film is something different. Again, it's there for all time, as you say, but there's something about the fact that in a close-up on film, you never see a human being in that close. I think your eyes go out of focus in reality. If I was to get as close to you now as if I was in the room with you, if I jumped on a bus and got over to where you are and tried to get as close to you as a film camera close-up does, I don't think you can actually physically do it without your eyes getting out. So that's an interesting thing there as well. And also being part of something where the whole and the theatre's the same as well, because it plays around visually with stuff, etc. And but it's just a different medium and it's fun, I guess.
Cool. That was Lawrence again there. I'd never thought about that he was talking about at the end, about how film's kind of fake, obviously, really, because you get so close in. A bit like this recording lark, isn't it? Because you'll hear stuff on a recording that if it's in a live environment, you'd never actually hear, because it'd be drowned out by all the other stuff. Interesting. Right. Things are never easy, though, are they? So just when we kind of have cracked one thing, like a lockdown or whatever, things have a sort of habit of throwing another challenge at you. And here's Minnie again, and I talking about that kind of thing. You've mentioned that you've had some health challenges amongst all the lockdown and all the rest of it as well. So how has that impacted things? A lot, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, just I don't know what the word is. a lot. Yeah, it has impacted things a lot. And I think that it's quite hard for me to unravel or imagine how I might have emerged out of lockdown or how I might have looked at things, because I really don't know. Because I had some symptoms of illness for some time that, you know, I try not to think about it because it can make you a bit despondent and upset, I guess, but that could not be dealt with because of lockdown.
Right.
I guess they were triaging things a bit more stricter, and it, you know, really could only see someone at some points if your head was hanging off. So yeah, but I got kind of a clearer diagnosis starting in kind of like March, April of 2021. So kind of really coming into the like unlocking time, like literally a year later. So it's quite hard for me to unravel what it would be like, because I was then submerged into the hospital world, and for the world of hospitals, because unfortunately the departments I was in was oncology, they were still taking COVID extremely seriously. So it's quite a mind bend for me when I started going back to work, and to go from PPE, like testing your temperature, always wearing a mask, being really cautious, to like a world that it felt like I was operating in a different world. It felt like I was a different class of citizen or something. I know that sounds really extreme, but it just felt like there is this world set up for these people, and you're just going to have to operate in a different one for a while. Like, this doesn't apply to you, kind of thing, which sounds dramatic, but I have heard people who have chronic illness or long-term things kind of talk like that, because it did feel like, can you make those choices if other people aren't? Because it wasn't, the masks were always about protecting other people, or so I think it probably, obviously, that actually being ill was a setback, but maybe psychologically as well, around health anxiety of doing things publicly would be a setback. But then I unfortunately had like a physical, because I had surgery on my arm, setback to actually playing the guitar, so it took a long while to get back to that. So yeah, just, you know, like how music career can sometimes just feel like you're pushing that stone up the hill, and if you stop, you don't get to just wait on the hill, you slip back down. I'm under the ground at the moment. I can't even see the hill anymore.
There we go. Oh, it's really sad. It was upsetting to hear Minnie say that she feels like she's under the ground, but you can see what she means. Yeah, what did I want to tell you about? Okay, so the story where I'd got to, we were at the in-laws. I had COVID, started recording, I started working on the DYCP project. Finally, we got our house, but it was in need of a lot of work. So in that video for home working that I showed you earlier, we were having work done. And then finally, I got this space here set up and began working here. So making new things and also adding bits to the stuff that I'd started at Connie's mum and dad's house. And what was I going to say about this? Yeah, I thought this might be interesting. This song, Sick of Me, is on the album. It's already gone out as a single, so I think some of you may have heard it already. So instead of playing it again, I've made this little video sort of showing you some of the different elements that are on the song, which I thought you might find interesting. Sick of Me was started at the in-laws' house. I can very much remember being a bit Ms one day and sitting writing the song, and then sort of coming back to it months later when I was here. So this is a little idea of some of the bits and pieces that are in one of these songs. If I can find the video. Where's the video? There we go. Sick of Me. Show you some of the different things that are on the track. First up, first thing I recorded probably, guitar. Doubled on the right hand side. Bass. Me again. I like this bass sound. It's sort of slidey but a bit rough at the same time. Into the chorus. Show you some of the things that are here. So percussion. Interesting piano sound. What else have I got? Oh, lead guitar. And then these two weird sounds, the sort of funky synthesizer, and then the girl's going, ooh, that's a synthesized sound as well. Hope you will forgive me if I'm not at my best. I'd still like to stress second that verse, similar ideas. There's the guitar again, lead vocal. Too high. I promised that I tried not to lock down inside. And this chorus, let's look at all the voices. I'm sick of me. Is that enough? Would you see? And then that little riff, which ends the song. And there you go, that's Sick of Me. The first thing that I kind of did at home, where I thought, you know what, I'm going to try putting this out and see what people think. And the line I keep using is that people who like my other stuff liked it, and people who ignore my other stuff ignored this. So, seems to be in the same kind of world. Yeah, so that's some of the bits and pieces that go into one of the tunes, which is called Sick of Me. And as I say, that was something that I did here. I've always done demos and stuff at home, wherever I've lived, in order to go into a studio usually, or to go to a band and say, this is my idea of what it is, and then we make it properly. But I haven't really put anything out that I've made at home. And I made that one. It was not my intention with this setup to make a studio where I could record stuff that I would then sort of put out properly, real. It was always going to be just for demos. But I got that one, I thought, I think this is all right, you know, and I sent it off. So I recorded it here and mixed it and stuff, and I sent it off to a mastering engineer, honestly half expecting that he would say, I can't do anything with this, you're going to have to work on that again, I'm not putting my name to this when it's finished. And he didn't. He said, that sounds great, I'll work on that. And then he sent it through, and it sounded good, and I put it out. And as I said at the end of the video there, people who like my stuff like this. They didn't sort of say, oh, this would be better if it was done properly or whatever. And it gave me an enormous confidence boost. And actually, David Quantick, who is a well-known writer, is somebody that I had on my podcast a year or two ago. I send him all the stuff I make because, like, I've spoken to him once, therefore he should be bombarded by all my music. And he's never really responded to anything before, but this one he shared saying it was lovely, I think. So that was a big confidence boost as well, sort of making me think, oh, perhaps I can do stuff at home that's worth putting out. Which I continued with. And I did another tune which is called Pass the Day, which is also going to be on the album. And I think most of you have heard this before as well. But you may not have seen this. This is a video of me... Oops. This is a video of me working in here, putting together the layers again for Pass the Day. And there's an interesting sort of story about this afterwards, which I'd like to share. So here's Pass the Day, if you've not heard or seen this before. Here we go. At the start of another week, he feels so tired he can barely speak as she kisses he and walks out the door. A passing bus throws the morning light across the mess that they left last night, and he thinks of she. Was she here at all? And he can hardly believe that it is true. You know he's been so close before, and he's not got to turn away. He'll just pass the day. Missing last the day. Missing has the day. Missing has the day. Not working hard as the hours creep, writing words he knows. So yeah, that was a combination of a couple of the skills I've had to learn, like the home recording thing, but then also editing videos, which is something that I've chosen to do over the whole lockdown COVID-ness. But the interesting thing with that was, right, so I put this out as a single, I made up that little video, and kind of obviously toyed on the idea that I was doing it at home and everything. I sort of did a press release that was like this kind of thing. Seize the day. I wrote the song, I recorded it, I put it out. And one of the reviews that it got says, "Oh, nice song and everything, but it could have benefited from another mix because there's a bit lot going on and all this sort of stuff." And I thought, oh wow, I don't often see reviews of like the technical side of it. It's normally a review of the song or the music performance or whatever. And then I thought, I wonder if I hadn't made it obvious that I'd recorded all that stuff at home, whether that would have made its way into the review or not. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But it was kind of interesting that sometimes you give people the ammunition to attack you, I suppose, a little bit. But hey, I'm not putting myself out there as an amazing producer. I'm a songwriter, and in a way, one of the things with this, again, calling the album Home Working, that sort of lo-fi, do-it-yourself things kind of slightly appealing to me. What do you think? Anyway, what should I show you now? Talking about this recording thing, here's Minnie again with some of her ideas and reflections on recording, and also something that surprised me actually about her last record. Here we go. All of that. Then were you writing as well? I guess what points you were, at points you weren't. How did that work?
Yeah, like I was writing a lot all of the time. I feel so lucky that I have that way of like getting my feelings out somehow, because I guess like not everyone has that, and I've always had that, and I've created and written a lot of terrible things. I've created and written a lot of things that I think actually that's really beautiful. Yeah, so I was able to write a lot during that time, and usually I write with my guitar, like we're partners, but I couldn't play my guitar, so I was just writing lyrics. So it's been nice to spend a bit more time doing that.
And then I know there's something you've done with your Kofi, which I think I'm right in saying this, you've sometimes put stuff out at a stage that you might not have done before.
Yeah, definitely. I just put like demos and things on there. It's really nice, isn't it, to have, because we both have Kofi accounts, which is similar to those Patreon things where you're sharing with a small group of or a large group of supporters. And yeah, it feels really nice to kind of have like a little safe space to share some things that maybe go nowhere. And I definitely, after the time that I have, there's a bit of me that is always trying to find that balance between only releasing things that I really believe in and I'm proud of, but also realizing like time is quite short. Because I wasn't particularly happy with my last record, with the football record I did, You're Not Singing Anymore. I had a really short amount of time to record it in because of funding and because of work, so I always have to book time off. And then I lost, and then booking that around a producer, I lost one of the days to like an insane amount of traffic. I was literally like 4 hours late and just didn't quite get exactly what I sort of wanted. And then there was the shouldn't I release it because of the pandemic, because I released it early in lockdown time, I think. But then I realised if I hadn't have run with that recording, if I hadn't have made it then, I still wouldn't have made that record. And it is what it is. And I have to try to remember like what record means from a like librarian point of view. Like it is a record, like it is a record of this thing that happened at this time, put in this archive, in this case a CD or a file of a captured moment, and then there is space to do more things. But if you didn't capture that in the moment and lock it down in history, you might not get the chance to do that. I don't know. So it's quite a good lesson in just like letting go of a bit of ego and thinking, actually, I'm so pleased that I did that.
There you go. So I just like the way she put that. Like it's a record of the moment, and that's sort of how I've approached some of the things I've been doing here. Just want to share this one with you because it's made me smile. If only. I want to share another song. Again, nobody's heard this before. Again, a couple of people, I think I might have shared this on my Ko-fi actually, the demo of it, but this final thing nobody's heard. This is a tune called Kidding Myself, and another thing that I've kind of got into over the last couple of years is some philosophy. particularly Stoicism, which again is that the main crux of it for me is that thing of you can only worry about what you can control and don't worry about things you can't control because you can't control them. And that's, there's a lot of allegories with that through what we've lived through over the last couple of years, and as an artist I find that there's things in there as well. So this is kind of my very simplistic reflections on that sort of stuff, really. So this is called Kidding Myself. I've been letting outside take a hold of my mind like it's not really mine. I've been handing my choice to an outside voice that's not worth my time. I'm kidding myself, but fooling no one else. I've been feeling the shame, holding on to my pain, always taking the blame. I've been wasting my days just seeking your praise, but you don't know my name. I'm kidding myself, but fooling no one else. There'll come a time when I am gone. Those left behind must live on. All I can control right here today is how I choose to feel and what I say. I'm kidding myself, but fooling no one else. There'll come a time when I am gone. Those left behind must live on. All I can control right here today is how I choose to feel and what I say. Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, so that one's called Kidding Myself. As I say, sort of reflecting on some of that Stoicism stuff that I've been reading. And what I like about that, of course, is because it's not like a religion or a cult or anything. It's some ideas from a philosophy. So if there's stuff you don't like, you can just go, nah, that don't really work for me. You don't have to sign up to the whole thing. It's quite interesting. It sort of fits in with my interest in history as well, because a lot of it goes back to kind of ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And I can lose myself in that world a little bit sometimes. Oh, I haven't read this. I'm going to share it anyway. I think one of the things I like about your music is it's very theatrical, goes way beyond singer-songwriters. This is a great tune. Well, that is a wonderful thing to read. Thank you very much. Cool. I don't know what else to say other than cool. Oh, Joe's here. Hi, Joe. Thanks so much, Joe. That's awesome. Okay. Let me show you another one then, as you're enjoying them. This is an instrumental. Kind of by accident, I've ended up putting a couple of instrumentals out on my album so far. And I think this was like testing the gear here and then thinking, oh, that's pretty cool, actually. I might use that. So this has ended up being called Clean Echoes. There we go. That's Clean Echoes, that one. I'm going to share another conversation then that I was having with Lawrence. So I'm talking a lot about stuff in the past, like the reflections. What I wanted tonight to be was kind of reflecting on the past couple of years, the making this album, the other stuff that's been going on, but also drawing a line under it. Not the album, but sort of the last couple of years. And sort of looking forward and embracing all the new problems that are coming down the line, I suppose. And it was something, just all of the stuff that I do really, I've kind of realised, right, whether it's making music or acting or the podcast or teaching people music, writing, any of this stuff. The real crux of like the question of all of it for me is like, how do you do this stuff and like support yourself and stay alive and have a home and a family and all those sort of things, and like is it the right thing to do? Is it possible to do? And like when I'm in a good mood, like I feel like it's something to be proud of. Anyone who's out there doing their creative thing and their passion and supporting themselves or not supporting themselves, respect. And respect to myself sometimes for just finishing a project, finishing a song, finishing an album. All of that stuff is hard work. So anyone who's out there doing it, props to them. Anyway, I was having a chat with Lawrence about some of this stuff, in particular, like some more grown-up concerns, and I thought that he had some very interesting reflections. Oh, hang on. Something's gone wrong. Bear with me 2 seconds. That was that was the best intro I've done for one of these as well. Anyhow, try that again. Reflections that I thought were interesting.
The changes it did make, it does make it did make.
Wasn't that good an intro? I need to explain it more. I was asking him about having kids and whether and how that had affected his acting career, basically. Sorry.
The changes it did make, it did make it more difficult for me to want to go away for an extended period of time. So that's been the big thing, actually, because especially when they're little, all through the life, you end up thinking about you're going to miss out on all sorts of things, and the career has meant I've missed out on things. I've tried not to in relation to the kids, but through people's weddings and all those kind of things, you might end up not being able to go to. So there's always been that there. But yeah, that's certainly a mindset change was, and it's not that I haven't gone away and I've done theatre and I've travelled away to film or whatever. But if I was offered, it would depend. I'd find it difficult to go and do like a 12-month tour or something, I think. So that was the big difference. I mean, my wife's got a salaried job, so there's an element of privilege there, in that although with the mortgage and everything, and the cost of living, you've both got to work, and we both do that, but that makes it easier than if I was for instance, a single parent, I think, with kids, and having to provide for them. So so for me, and I did have an impact financially as well. You do think, okay, I'll take that one. Okay, so that the fee's not very good on that. What am I going to get out of it? Okay, maybe not. I guess. But again, it's on a case by case basis. Those decisions were made, I think. But the big one is thinking about being away for an extended period of time and not really wanting to do that.
And then are you quite happy with that decision? So has there been things where you could have been away for a long time and you haven't done, and you wouldn't know whether you should have, or were you quite happy you've done the right thing?
I'm quite happy with the right thing. And interestingly, I guess a value is not a value until it's tested, and it's not often been tested. I think the one thing in terms of, and I don't think I've got the right skill set to be in Christmas shows anyway, for instance, but because all our family birthdays are from November the 9th through to January the 15th,
yeah,
that falls at a the time that Christmas shows go into rehearsal and then run. And there's been a couple of occasions where I've been offered auditions for Christmas shows. There was one this year actually, but because my daughter's gone away, she'll be home that period. So that made the decision for me, and I've done that. So those are things that I've where I've said no, and and when I've been talking to my agent about it, they've been fine.
Well, that was my next question actually, because I'm a bit of a worry part with stuff like this anyway. Sometimes you sort of think if you say no to even putting yourself forward for things, sometimes there's a little bit of like, oh, people will be angry with me because I'm not going for it. And you can get into a mindset of I should be all in and I should be going for every opportunity and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an experience thing, I guess, isn't it? Where you get to a point where you're like, well, no, because there'll be something else, maybe.
Yeah.
Not right, it's not right. And you get an instinct, I suppose.
I think so, yeah.
Cool. So that was Lawrence talking about like life stuff in regards to the acting career and that. How you all doing? Are you still enjoying yourselves? The numbers have stayed sort of pretty accurate all the way through. I think I'm going to play with a few more tunes and maybe do a bit more chat. I'm loving this. I hope that you are as well. Like sharing these songs that I've just lived with me for a couple of years. In some cases, it's ace, and I'm glad that people are enjoying them. As I mentioned before, get ready with your bell, Peter. I'm doing a pre-order campaign for the album, so if you're interested, I think most of you watching have already pre-ordered it, but if you're interested in supporting me, you can go to my website robertlanemusic.co.uk and you can either digitally buy it or physically you get the album when it's here. I'll send it out to you. You can also download 4 of the 12 tunes right now. Talking of which, here's another song that nobody's really heard. This was written for a commission. It's interesting, someone in the comments was on about film music or cinematic type music. A friend of mine who's a filmmaker asked if I ding 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 ding. A friend of mine who's a filmmaker asked if I would write a song for this short film they were thinking of, and properly gave me a brief for it, and it was awesome. I like writing to a brief, so in this I'm writing for a character who isn't me, which is really interesting, and the brief was sort of like a 60s thing. The film never happened, as so often goes with these things, and again I put this on the back. I think I started this one here a while ago, then I put it on the back burner. Then when I was thinking about the album, I came back to it and dug it out. And I'd been listening to a bit of Elvis at the time, so a couple of Elvis things made their way into this, sort of, hopefully. The one being that famous slapback echo on the voice, but that's from his early stuff with Sun Records. But then I got really into an album, Elvis from Memphis, which is a fucking great album, right? It's 1968 or something, and it's him with the Memphis soul guys. So it's Elvis and his great voice, but it's all these really cool soul, almost semi-soul songs. And I tried to pinch a bit from that, the main thing being something you would never normally do, the bass off on one side to the right. I think you don't normally want it down the centre, but it's my album, making it myself. I can do what I want. So this is called Your Baby's Changed Her Mind. You always see me how you think I should be. You always hear me say what you want me to say. You're gonna find your baby's changed her mind. You never feel me enough to heal me. You're never nearby, although you've never said goodbye. You're gonna find your baby's changed her mind. Cocktail parties, drink too much, fake a smile for no one. This has started to get too much. In a while, I'll be gone. You always see me how you think I should be. You always hear me say what you want me to say. You're gonna find your baby's change. You're gonna find your baby's change. You're gonna find your baby's changed her mind. Cool. There you go. So I enjoyed that one. I get to play the part of a put upon wife, I think, basically. This is an interesting comment. Do you mean what do you mean? Talking about the guitar again there, that was another one where that's an acoustic guitar with a mic, I think, and then I've done some mucking about with it in the computer program, thinking, oh, I'll record it with an electric guitar properly later. And then it's one of them where you just go, well, actually, I quite like what I was playing. Maybe I couldn't replicate it. Or maybe even I had a go at doing better and I couldn't better it, so went with what was already there. That happens sometimes. I know what you mean. Like, I've got a lot of Eric Clapton influences, but do you mean like the way I'm playing the guitar or the sound of it? Interesting. Yeah, so that was Your Baby's Changed Her Mind. And we're kind of coming towards the end, really, of what I wanted to talk about. It's been awesome doing this. I've really enjoyed it. So I've played a load of songs from the album. There's some that are already out. This is one of those, actually. So this is something I recorded at home and put out myself, but it wasn't here. It was at my previous home. And again, this was actually a commission. There's some other filmmakers that I know were doing a pantomime, a Christmas pantomime, for raising money for the Trussell Trust, which I don't find very easy to say. Trussell Trust. And they got me to be in this pantomime. It was an online pantomime on video. And they were like, we want to play this song in it as well. And I was like, well, instead of playing that song, can I write you one? I thought, yeah, all right then. So I ended up writing a song about the Christmas of 2020 and recorded this funky little demo of it in my tiny spare room at the flat that we used to live in. And for me, that's part of the journey of this album. So it's weird putting out an album in October that's got a Christmas song on it. It's weird putting out an album, putting out a song that sonically probably isn't up to the quality of the other stuff that's on the album. But, you know, it's part of the journey for me. So hopefully it shows some sort of progression from doing this funky little thing in my bedroom, that sounds weird, studio at home, to what I'm doing here now. And also, it talks very much, it's very specific. Most Christmas songs, you want to write something that's an evergreen that can come out every year. This one isn't, because it's very much about that year. So it's kind of stupid putting it out, really, but I quite like it, and I think it has its charms. And there's a nice video for it as well. So this is Christmas 2020, brackets, this year is absurd. Christmas 2020, it's unlike any we have ever known. Santa is on furlough and all the elves are working from home. The angel on the tree looks lonesome as can be. Oh, no one can say if it's gonna snow. This year is absurd, I know, but if Christmas means to you what Christmas means to me, I know we will get through. Brighter days we're gonna see. Oh, Christmas, yeah, Christmas. Christmas 2020, we're not sure we can see our friends. We ask if it's okay, all we hear is it just depends. The stars up in the sky, they know the reason why. Oh, and no one can tell them that what Christmas means to me. I know we will get through brighter days we're gonna see. Oh, Christmas. Yeah, 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 Christmas. Oh, Christmas. Yeah, 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 Christmas. Oh, Christmas. Yeah, 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 Christmas. Oh, Christmas. There we go. Yes, Christmas at the end of September. I know that's annoying, but hey ho. There we go. Yes, so that's Christmas 2020 brackets this year is absurd, which is to say will mean nothing, hopefully, any other Christmas again. But for me, it's just part of the journey of what this album has been over that 2 years. Okay, that's it pretty much. I'm just going to go through if there's any any other questions. Oh, that's the one sour note of the evening. That's true. That's true, I suppose. Here's a question. Is that a 3/4 size guitar? Yes. I won't go and get it. Yeah, it's my baby Taylor, which is smaller than 3/4 size, I think. It's what's called a travel guitar. I bought it for travelling when I was going to Germany to do some shows a few years ago. Happy Christmas 2020. Okay, here's some questions. Any provisional thoughts or plans for the next album after this one? There's a possibility of a couple of collab projects which are at various stages of happening. Some of which will be stuff that I've done here. Can't say too much because they may or may not happen. So that would potentially be the next thing. And then I would like to go into like a proper studio again at some point. But then also develop what I've done here as well. Potentially have other people here. I don't know. So kind of no, not really, just ideas. To be odd having an inkling that something works in the concept album. Yeah, I hope so. Hope so. There we go. There was another question, I think. Oh, cool. Thanks, Alan. Not long, hopefully. Yeah, I know what you mean. Thank you. It's a big influence on my guitar playing, and most people don't spot it actually, but yeah, it definitely is. There was some more questions. Let me just find them. Hang on, because someone asked me before. Okay, is there a location you'd enjoy to record music, or a place or a studio that would add an almost hidden feeling? This was from Alex, I think. Well, I've never been in a proper posh studio. No offense to the studios I've been in; they've tended to be like people's home studios or the traditional like studio in a lock-up on an industrial estate. Great studios that they are, all of them. So it would be nice to go into like, a proper posh Abbey Road or Air Studios or something like that. Although I think I'd probably be pretty terrified. I don't know how well I'd perform in that sort of circumstance. But then I also quite like the idea of taking my little setup somewhere really funky. You'll know I've got a big love for the seaside and the coast and stuff. So, going somewhere really remote to write and record an album would be interesting, or a project. Yeah. To my humble ears, you are growing and flourishing as an artist. I hope you're proud of what you're achieving. Which, the way I've written them is, I hope you're proud of what you're achieving. This was from Carl. Thanks, Carl. Yeah, I am. It's weird, really, because I had to put it. I kind of feel like I'm at my best self with this kind of thing. I feel like all the stuff I've put in over the years as a writer, and I've actually spent a lot of time recording in different studios and stuff. And I don't think I'm fantastic at it, and I don't want to compare myself to anybody else. But in terms of my own abilities, I feel I'm at the best I can be with them, which you should be, shouldn't you? When we're wanting to get any worse, so I'm sure that will happen eventually as well. So yeah, I'm quite proud. And doing this project, I was nervous about doing this tonight, really, because as I say, when you've got new things and no one's heard them, you're never sure how it's going to go. But I am proud of them. And again, coming back to that thing of only being worried about what I can control, I've put these together as well as I can. I've done the best with them. I'm going to put them out into the world and hope they have some sort of life. If they don't, I can't really control that outside of trying to shout about it. So for the bit that I can control, I am happy. Like, I don't think anything in the world that I do is perfect, and it could always be better, I suppose. But like Minnie was saying in that video earlier, it's a record of where I am at the moment, and I feel that this is reflective of where I am at the moment. So there we go. Oh, a question from Lee. Do you have any plans for music videos with some of your actor and filmmaking connections? That would be cool, wouldn't it? Like, in the past, I've spent my money on recording in people's studios and having filmmakers make films and all this sort of stuff. And something that I think has happened through COVIDness and through pandemic and through necessity is just getting the skills to do stuff yourself. So recording yourself, making your own videos, promoting yourself. And yeah, I've known a lot of friends who are actors and filmmakers and stuff, and it would be cool to do that at some point going forward. I got a couple of ideas, and of course we were able to do it for a lot of the time while I was working on this. We were all locked away in our own homes and stuff. So yeah, it'd be great to get out and do some of that stuff. So no firm plans, but it's definitely on the list. Andrew Vale is up here with a question. If you were starting the album from scratch, would you change anything? Probably. I think it's that thing someone asked earlier about having a deadline for when you finished. I think I could come back to something I finished 6 months or a year ago, but I'll just tweak that. I'll just do this, just that. But then you would never finish, I suppose. And they are just, at some point, they are just of the moment, aren't they? But if you want specifics, if you're starting the album from scratch, would you change anything? Some of those things where I said it was like an acoustic guitar, I probably would have started with an electric guitar. And knowing the songs better now, I probably would have not spent so much time trying things that I didn't keep. But then that's part of the process of learning about the songs, isn't it? So yes and no, Andrew, I suppose, is the answer to that one. Right, okay, I need to take that banner away as well. Oh, trying to fly all this stuff at myself at the same time. Right, well, guys, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed that. So much, thank you. It's been awesome to share those songs with you. I've played not all the songs from the album. There's still like one or two that nobody's heard yet, so hopefully there's some nice surprises for you when you hear the finished thing. If you did want to and you haven't yet, you can pre-order the album. Let's put that up, and then Peter can do his ding 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 thing again. And yeah, thank you so much. You can find me online, robertlanemusic.co.uk. There's lots of different things on there. There's my music and my gigs and the stuff I'm doing with acting. There's also my 2 podcasts. I do one about creativity and making a living in the arts, which soon will have the full conversations with Lawrence and with Minnie. I spoke to them both for like an hour or more and just edited little videos up for tonight. But the whole conversations are going to go out onto that podcast. And I have a newer podcast called Robert Lane's Little Shorts, which is a bit different. It's stuff that I've written, so like, and perform, like monologues or short sketches, that kind of thing, where I'm playing different characters. So you can find all that on my website, robertlanemusic.co.uk. No one's mentioned this t-shirt yet, which I'm disappointed about, but this is a Robert Lane listening t-shirt. You can also feature artwork by the very talented Jodie Brown, which you can also find. Everything's on the website, robertlanemusic.co.uk. We're just having a few more comments here. I would agree with this sentiment very much. Minnie Birch, Lawrence Saunders, thank you so much for giving me your time to talk to me, and I think everyone's found what you were saying really interesting, so thank you very much. Thanks, Richard. Thank you for being here. Carl, thank you, Carl. Sveta, thank you, Sveta. Oh, good, because you know, like I've album launch, people just sit and play the songs on the guitar, but that would be nice. But I want you to hear what I've been working on, so hopefully that was all right and it wasn't a weird way of doing things. Lawrence has been watching as well. Thanks, Lawrence. You'll be part of contributions. Oh, and we like to see this look. That's what we like to see. And Peter. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. Send me some messages if you want to tell me anything else about the album. Please, I think this video should be live on my YouTube afterward. Well, not live, but should be available to watch afterwards and stuff if you wanted to watch it again or share it with anybody else. Oh, one more comment. Really enjoy this. I'm looking forward to an album launch this week, and this has been giving me some great ideas. Oh, I'm looking at an album. Okay, so you're going to go. Okay, cool. Thank you. And Joe says this was great. Thanks, Joe. Or Joseph, as you may like to prefer to be called there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the album when it's out. It's gonna be here soon. Thank you very much. Good night to you. Goodbye.